the antioxidant here. So antioxidants that inhibit the oxidation basically. So they oxidize themselves and prevent the oxidations of APA. So as we know, oxygen is highly reactive atom and is capable of becoming the part of the potential damaging molecule. So they will form the free radical. Basically, free radicals they will form with because of the UV radiation. So whenever semi-solid dosage forms are prepared, they have to take the precautions regarding that. This particular UV rays or these particular free oxygens will not deteriorate your final stability. So that free radicals that will form that are capable of attacking the healthy cells of the body. Means like body in the sense structure basically. So that structures can be deteriorated or the structure and the functions of that particular cell can be deteriorated. And we know most of the times as we see there are various types of base are there that can be used. There are mostly hydrocarbon fatty acid chains. So they are more prone to the oxidation or sometimes auto oxidation will occur. So this particular oxidation that is prevented by these antioxidants. So these are the classifications they have given. So antioxidants that are act by reacting the free radicals, whatever generated by the UV radiations or once oxygen get in contact with that particular ingredients. Then some reducing agents are having the redox potential than the drug and hence get oxidized first and they will prevent. So basically these antioxidants they get oxidized themselves and prevent the oxidations of active pharmaceutical ingredients. And some synergistic effects are also there, like chelating agents are there, sequestering agents are there, so that enhance the activity of certain antioxidants. So there are natural antioxidants are there, there are some synthetic antioxidants are there. So natural antioxidants like the vitamin E is there, ascorbic acid is there, or citric acid is there. Then synthetic that is the most commonly used antioxidants in the semi-solid dosage form that is BHT and BH, butylated hydroxytoluenes and butylated hydroxyanions. So these are the two important antioxidants that we have to most of the times they are incorporated into the semi-solid dosage form. Again the same like prediction enhancer selections or like a selection of the base, selections of antioxidant is also important because this the capability of that antioxidant agents to reduce the oxidation reaction that you have to consider. So for that purpose, you have to consider various points so that can be helpful for the selections of these antioxidants, like what are the protective properties of antioxidants or what substrates are oxidized and what products of oxidations are inhibited by that particular antioxidant agent or if there any others interacting component is there so that can so that affect on the result final result of the antioxidant. So these are the some specifications you have to consider. Along with that, the solubility and the dispersibility in the medium because we are using here the two different solvents, not a solvent, two different phases, oil phase and the water phase. So the solubility of the antioxidants in each and every phase that we have to consider here. Along with it should be non-toxic, non-irritant and should be compatible with the other components of the ingredient. So these are the some properties that we have to consider. So here they have given the examples related to the antioxidants, butylated hydroxytoluene, butylated hydroxyanione, these are the synthetic. So basically these are the wide mild odor, silver. So these are the selection criteria for the antioxidant that we have to consider for the formulating the semi-solid dosage form or while adding the antioxidant in that specific semi-solid dosage form. Then after the antioxidants, the another one excipients that is incorporated in the formulation. is preservative. So my voice is audible to all of you. Okay, just wait for me. Now it is okay. Okay, thank you. So the next ingredient, that is the most common ingredient in all the dosage form, that is your preservative. So the preservative that are added to the simple dosage form to prevent the contamination, the deterioration and the spoiling by the bacteria and the fungi. Since many of these components that we are using for the semisolid dosage form, like base that we are using or like filtration enhancers that we are using, they are more, you can say they provide the substrate for the growth for these microorganisms. So there are various terms are there. Well, there are various terms that describe the microbial organisms that will associated with the pharmaceutics and the cosmetic products like harmful microorganisms, like objectionable microorganisms, and opportunistic microorganisms. So what they are? So basically, when you are called these particular organisms are harmful, so it is therefore to the microorganism that is harmful to the human being if it causes some disease or some infections. So most of the known microorganisms like Salmonella, species or the Escherichia coli or the Staphylococcus species. So these are called as a harmful microorganisms. So they will cause some infections or some diseases to the human beings when they are present in a formulations. Some are the objectionable organisms are there, so they can produce a disease or they can cause a disease or they may interrupt the actions of the active formulation. So this is the another category like Pseudomonas foetida is there, Pseudomonas multivorans are there. So these are the examples of the objectionable organisms. So that they only reduce the activity of active pharmaceutical ingredients. And the third classifications, as I have just described, that is opportunistic pathogens or the opportunistic microorganisms. So they only give their activity on the specific conditions only. Means if they produce the disease or the infection under the special environmental situations only. So these are the types of, you can say, the microorganisms that may grow under the semi-solid process. So we have to prevent that microbial contamination, and that's why this preservative that will help for the to reduce the microbial attack on that particular semi-solid dosage form. But at the same time, the success and the failure of the preservative in protecting the formulations of this microbial spoil, it is depending upon the various factors. Because once you added the preservative, that doesn't mean it will protect your formulation for the longer durations of the time. There are various factors are there. So like important factors is interactions with the packing materials. Sometimes the plastic material that we are using for the packing purpose, they may interact with your preservative and they reduce their activity or the quantity required for the activation that will get reduced. Along with that, the partition coefficient between the two phases, because supposing any preservative is only soluble in a water phase. Obviously, in a semi-solid dosage form, there are two phases: are liquid phase and the oil phase. So it has the capability to dissolve in both the phase equally, and that's why most of the time this particular preservative they are not used in a means not single use. They are used in a combination. So, these conditions or these factors that we consider while selecting the preservative, its activity also. So chemical preservatives for semi-solid that must be carefully evaluated for their stability also with regard to the other components of the formulations as well as the container. So that is the main thing while selecting the preservative for the semi-solid dosage form. So as I already told you that plastic containers may absorb the preservative and thereby decrease the quantity available for the quantity that is available for their producing the activity. So some preservative, there are sometimes may irritate the mucous tissue of the eyes as well as the skin. So the irritancy of that particular preservative has to be considered. So how we can check the activity means basically how we can select the preservative. So you have to carry out some preservative efficacy test. So I think most of you have heard about the D value or the Z value and the microbiology. So what is D value? It is the time required for the numerical value or the rate of destructions of particular organisms in a specific conditions for the specific product. So you have to check the preservative efficacy for each and every time when you have incorporated in a semi-solid dosage form. So basically, when you have incorporated any preservative in a cosmetic formulations, you have to take the proper precaution. Simple example, if you have added some preservative in a eyeshadow preparations and if it is not working properly, as we know, eyeshadow or whatever the cosmetic that we have mostly apply on the eye. So in that case, there should not be any microbial growth. Or as I have already told you, that if any three of the microorganisms, clusters of microorganisms is present, so obviously it will causes some infections, it will causes some diseases also. So for that purpose, the preservative efficacy has to be determined. Along with that, there are some other factors that can affect, like some perfume with high concentrations of the glycerins and electrolytes, if present inside the semi-solid dosage form. So that provides the less favorable conditions for the microbial growth, and obviously that will ultimately affect on your preservative actions. And that's why sometimes humectants are added into the formulation, like glycerin is there, polyethylene glycol is there. So, a typical manufacturer, when you are saying that this particular preservative is having the specifications, so under the DNC Act, means under the Drug and Cosmetics Act, the selections of the criteria, so selections of the preservative, they have set some criteria for that. Criteria for the microorganism that is present in specific product. So obviously depending upon that you have to select the effective preservative to control that microorganism uh, number. So suppose if you are going to formulate a baby product, it should not be more than 500 microorganisms per gram or per milliliter. So if you are formulating any product related for the eyes, if you are preparing the eye ophthalmic preparations or the eye ophthalmic gel you are preparing, so again the same, it should not be more than 500 microorganisms per gram. So these are the specifications they have given. So again the same thing, mold species, yeast species, and the microorganism and the pathogen. These are the different things. As we all know, we will not go in detail about that. So basically, the growth of those species that can affect on the health of human being or that may causes some irritations. So that can be affected. That can be affected here. So for that purpose,